All right, this morning I have been going through my closet, evaluating my wardrobe, which I must admit is a little dull. It's a lot of gray, a lot of jeans, a lot of t-shirts, and that's fine. Sometimes in certain seasons of life, we just want comfort, we want easy. But I've been working on my February design for Cuff Club, and it's so colorful, so bright, and it just made me feel really inspired to just dress more colorfully in general. So I went to my closet, I pulled out all of the things I own that I actually wear, and there is not much color, and I want to change that. I've got a lot of gray sweatshirts. These are just two. I think I've got a couple more in the dryer. Obviously, a lot of gray t-shirts. I think I was wearing this exact outfit in last week's video, but just a different gray t-shirt, probably this one. So I've got a lot of gray t-shirts. I have a few denim shirts, denim jeans. I have one bright red shirt that I wore sometimes this summer. Black and white stripes, classic. I do love this, but overall, not a lot of color, not a lot of texture. I really want to change that. So I've got a plan. Okay, so my plan is to completely overhaul my wardrobe. I want to curate and create a beautiful, colorful, handmade wardrobe. A lot of knitters also sew. So a lot of the knitters that I follow on Instagram create these really beautiful clothes that they've sewn themselves, and I'm always so inspired and I want to do that. I've got a sewing machine. I know how to sew. I haven't really sewn clothes before, so it's going to be a learning curve for me, but I know I can do it. And I'm really excited because I love good quality clothes that last a long time. I love to be able to design something for myself that fits my personality and fits my body. So yeah, I'm super, super excited about this. And I've already got ideas. I've got plans. I've ordered things. So let's talk about that. So as far as the sewing goes, I am going to start with a simple pair of elastic waisted pants. I bought the pattern for the topo pants, so I'm going to put that right there so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Andrea Mowry of Drea Renee Knits had posted on Instagram some topo pants that she had made in a couple of different colors, and I was just, they looked so cute. They are for adventurous beginners according to the pattern, so I feel like that's kind of good for me. I'm not a totally beginner sewist, but I am a beginner when it comes to clothes. But I'm also adventurous, so I think that I can do it. So I purchased that pattern. Then I ordered 3 different colors of very colorful, solid fabrics that I can make the pants out of. Those have not arrived yet. They probably won't arrive until next week's video, but the pants are percolating. In terms of tops, I have got 2 sweaters that I'm starting this week, today, and I have not been able to knit a sweater in a while, so I'm really excited about that. The first sweater that I'm going to be knitting is by Petite Knit. It's this sweater right here. I've already got the yarn for it. I actually bought this pattern and this yarn a long time ago, and it's just been sitting in my closet, still in the bag it came in. So I'm really excited. Now, this is not colorful. It's what I had. I do want to use what I had, but I've got a plan. So this is the yarn that I'm knitting this Petite Knit sweater out of. Right here. This is an alpaca cotton blend. It is the exact same yarn that Petite Knit used in the pattern. It's incredibly soft. So that's my plan for this sweater. The fabric. One of the fabrics that I ordered for my topo pants is basically this color. It's this beautiful fuchsia, like hot pink. And look how good those two look together. My goal here is to create outfits that I can wear so that getting dressed in the morning isn't so difficult. I have all of these different put together, colorful, fun outfits that I can just grab. So the topo pants in bright pink with this beautiful Petite Knit sweater in this kind of oatmeal yarn, and then of course some fun socks, like that's going to be added to it as well. So that's the first sweater that I'm going to start today. Like here in a minute, I'm going to actually swatch for it. The second sweater that I'm going to knit is a design idea I've had in my head for a while, and I am going to make it a reality. I actually have yarn mail. It's supposed to arrive tomorrow. It's going to be a color work yoke sweater. So tomorrow, when the yarn mail arrives, I'm going to be swatching. I'm going to be trying out the color work design that I have in mind. So I'll get to show you all of that too. So it's sweater week. It's sweater week here. A lot of fun things. I get to cast on, work on 2 new sweaters. I've got patterns that I've bought to sew. I've got fabric on the way to make pants. It's just all very exciting. I love this. I love being able to create clothes that I'm actually going to feel good about wearing. First thing I'm going to do, we're going to swatch this because I am going to do this right. I'm not, I very much just want to cast on immediately, but I am going to swatch. I'm going to make sure that my gauge is on, and then we're going to start knitting this sweater, and I'm going to see how far I can get. This calls for size 8 needles, and this is pretty thick yarn. I'm used to knitting fingering weight yarn on US size 1 needles, so I'm curious to see how much faster this is going to go. It's just straight stockinette knitting. So all right, let's get started. Let's start swatching for a sweater. Okay. That is my tote full of needles, and it is a giant tangled mess. I'm mostly working with my sock knitting needles, which I keep separate, obviously for good reason, because look at this. Like, all right, so I've started my swatch. The Ivy sweater is knit completely in the round, so I'm swatching in the round. But to save time, there's a little trick. So you can see I've kind of got my little swatch started. Not much to look at right now, but I'm doing a little trick to save time so that I don't have to knit an actual whole swatch in the round. So I'm going to show you what I do. All right, so since the sweater's knit in the round, I want to knit my swatch in the round too so that my gauge is accurate. But I don't want to take all of that time. That would be twice as many stitches. So I am going to mimic knitting in the round, and I learned this little trick from Knitty Natty. I'm going to post a link to that tutorial in the description below the video. All right, I have now reached the end of my stitches. You can see my little swatch here. Once I reach the end, instead of turning and then purling the opposite row, which would make my gauge different because of course I'm knitting every round whenever I knit in the round, just gonna slide these stitches to the other end of my needle. Now my working yarn is back here. All I'm gonna do is just bring it back over here to this side. And I'm going to knit again. So no purling. I am knitting every single row of my swatch. That way my gauge is accurate. Okay, on the back of your swatch, you've just got all of these long strands of yarn, and you don't want to pull too tightly whenever you are bringing your working yarn back to where you need it to start the next row. So yeah, you're gonna have all of these little strands of yarn on the back of your swatch. Okay, now my swatch is done, so I'm gonna cut my little strings on the back. Now I've got my little swatch, the strings have been cut, and now I'm ready to soak it. All right, I'm gonna let this soak for a little bit, and then I will pin it and put it on a blocking mat, and then I can get an accurate picture of what my gauge is working with this particular yarn. All right, while my little swatch is drying, I'm gonna actually run to pick up my pants pattern from the printers. I went ahead and did like an online thing where I could order like large format printing of the pattern pieces so that when my fabric gets here, I will have the printed pattern ready to go for my topo pants. David thought that it was warmer than it is outside, so he was wearing shorts. The wind is like really cold, and I'm wearing pants, but he still went in to get my pattern for me anyways. And he was like, well, don't you want to come in too to check it in case like they didn't print it right? And I was like that would make a difference. They could print it on a Post-it note and I would take it and be like, thanks, good job, because I hate confrontations. Here he comes. He's got the pattern. It's so cold outside and he's wearing shorts. Hey, I got the pattern. It looks like a cool blueprint. This is so cool. The bookstore was on the way home from the office supply store. You know how it goes. Okay, I hit gauge with my little gauge swatch. So now the only thing I need to do is go through and I'm gonna highlight the size that I'm knitting in the pattern, like all the instructions for that size so that it pops out and it's easier for these old eyes to see. And then I'm gonna cast on. This sweater is knit from the top down, seamlessly in one piece. So I'm gonna be starting with my shortest size 8 circular needles to get started. And I'm just gonna see how much I can get done today. Probably not as much as if I hadn't stopped at the bookstore on my way home from picking up my pants pattern. But you know, what are you gonna do? It's like right there. Like, how can you just drive past it? So time to cast on a sweater, which I have not done in so long. I'm so excited. Blackbird Sunday, backseat tune, pair of bluebirds pick around on the roof. Mother Earth holding you wait, sun in your hair. Wind is steady on your face, breathing in cold air. What if you made me know all that you know? Give a hug, have you? What if I made you know all that I know, that this could happen to you? This could happen to you. Good morning. I made so much progress on my sweater last night and I have some thoughts. So here's where we're at. I have done obviously the neckline. I guess I should hold it right side up. This is the back. We've done short rows up here. This is the front. We've got sleeves on the side, shoulders where the sleeves are eventually going to go. So we've made a lot of progress. I really love the fabric that this yarn is creating. It's very soft, and I think that the alpaca cotton blend is gonna be kind of perfect for my climate. Since I live in Oklahoma, the winters are not super cold here. Having a cotton blend, I think, is going to make it to where it is a warm sweater, but it's not too warm. So love the fabric that we've created here. This yarn is not the best to knit with. You kind of have to fight with it a little. It's not a very smooth knit. I think it's going to get better. Right now, I'm doing a lot of increasing. I've got 24 rounds left where I'm increasing every other round. And these are make one left and make one right increases. And there's 8 of them per increase round. And on this yarn, it's extremely fiddly. Like if you're working make one lefts and make one rights, they're always a little fiddly, but on sock yarn, on very pointy, tiny needles, it's pretty easy to make them. But with this very hairy yarn, it's a little bit of a struggle. I'm kind of having to fight it. And this yarn isn't a super smooth knit. And you know, I obviously work with a lot of superwash merino yarn. That's very smooth, but even like other more rustic yarns that I've knit with still glide pretty well, and they actually feel very springy and bouncy and just really fun to work with. But this particular alpaca cotton blend, it's not super smooth. So I'm not totally loving the process of knitting with it. I'm loving the process of the sweater, and I'm very excited to have the sweater when it's done, and I love the fabric it's creating, but maybe not the most enjoyable knitting experience, at least right now. I think, again, once I get past these increases, I will then be able to separate out the sleeves and just whiz around on the body of the sweater, and I think maybe I'll be able to get into a groove then. But I am loving how this has turned out. I'm super happy that I had this in my stash, ready to go, the yarn and the pattern, and I have finally cast it on and knit with it. The big story of today, though, is the yarn that we are waiting for. It is out for delivery at this very moment, and Yarn Mail Day, as we all know, is the most blessed of all days. It's so exciting. Getting a package in the mail full of beautiful, colorful yarn. Of course, it's a little scary sometimes because if you're shopping online, you're looking at pictures, you don't really know what you're gonna get until it gets here, and you can squish it and feel it, and sometimes you're in for a nasty surprise when what you order doesn't quite live up to your expectations. But I've worked with this particular yarn that I ordered before, so I know what it looks like, I know what it feels like, and I am just extra excited for it to get here so I can talk about it with you. But it's not here yet. It's on a truck somewhere in Tulsa, whizzing around. Just wait until it gets to me. So my watch begins. It begins now. I cannot wait for it to get here. So that's all I'm going to be doing this morning, is just waiting for that yarn mail.
Oye, mi güerita, vamos a bailar. Yo sé que tú quieres y te va a gustar. Oye, mi güerita, vamos a bailar. Yo sé que tú quieres y te va a gustar. Oye, mi güerita, vamos a bailar con esta cumbia que te va a gustar. Oye, mi morena.
Okay, the yarn mail arrived, and I have got Rowan felted tweed. I absolutely love this yarn. I've worked with it many years before. It's a beautiful, soft, springy, natural rustic wool, and I absolutely love working with it. But it's hard to this is going off the rails. So I'm gonna do 2 sweaters. Now I've got 3 sweaters going. I started with no sweaters, and now all of a sudden I've got plans for 3. But I'm gonna do one that is this really beautiful red and pink stripe. And then I'm gonna do one that's solid blue. And hopefully they will knit up quickly because I can't wait to see both, and I'm very excited for them. But I've got the design in my head. Obviously, I need to write out the pattern, figure out all the math, and that will start with knitting another swatch. I actually like knitting swatches. I think it's really fun to see how the fabric behaves and what it's gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and get started making this swatch so I can show you the fabric, and then I'm gonna write out the pattern and then get started knitting that too, and I'll be knitting it at the same time that I'm knitting my other sweater. Now let's go talk about that because I have to catch you up on some things. Okay, the sweater that I cast on this week, the Ivy sweater by Petite Knit, which I've made quite a bit of progress on. It is a kind of timeless, classic silhouette. It's obviously a very neutral color, and I was fine with that, even though I'm wanting to upgrade my wardrobe into quality handmade pieces that have more color and texture. I already had this yarn and this pattern in my stash, and I wanted to use what I had. So the second sweater, I told you I had initially thought of doing a colorwork sweater that was obviously going to be very colorful. But then when I was sitting here knitting on this, I thought, what if I did embroidery, like all on like the shoulders, like just kind of coming down in the front and the back, really bold, colorful, like floral embroidery, just all on it, and possibly even involving some glittery beads. Like in my head, I can picture it, and it's like wearing a work of art. And I kind of thought, Summer, if you're gonna go to all this trouble, if you're gonna do this, if you are going to learn to sew clothes, if you're gonna start putting a lot of time into knitting garments and all of these things, and the whole reason that you're doing it is because you want to introduce more color and texture and excitement into your wardrobe, then go all the way. Like, I wanna stretch myself creatively, I wanna stretch my skills, I wanna learn new things. And I just think it would look so cool to take this really timeless classic silhouette in a very neutral, pretty yarn, and then just like bedazzle it with like colorful embroidery and beads and like basically draw on it. So because that's what I want to do with this sweater, then with the blue sweater, I'm fine with kind of taking that down a notch and creating more of a basic, but still in a bright, fun color. I have this idea for this like 70s kind of tomboy sweater happening in my head, and I'm really excited to work that out. So that is the sweater plan. And like I said, I'm gonna get started swatching that Rowan felted tweed because I wanna see, obviously I need to see stitch counts with gauge, I need to see what the fabric's gonna look like, and I'm very excited to work with it again. It's been many years since I've gotten to use a Rowan felted tweed, so. So my little blue swatch is blocking. Later on today, I'll be able to look at that and use that as a basis to start designing the sweater that I have in my head that I really want to knit and that I'm very excited to wear. So while that's blocking, I'm going to keep working on my Ivy sweater. I have gotten to the fun part, the easy part really. I'm on the body of the sweater. I've done all of the increases up here. I have got my little sleeves separated. I'll come back and knit those once I'm done with the body. So it's just motoring around and around and around and working on the body of this sweater. And I'm like so excited to finish it now and to like motor through it because I want to get to the embroidery. I want to see what that looks like. I can picture it in my head. So yeah, I'm going to finish that up the rest of the day today.
Listen for me in a violin. Listen for me when the knife is turning. burning. Babe, would you listen for me? Listen for me in a crowded street. Listen for me in a winning streak. Listen for me when you're at your peak. Babe, would you listen for me? Listen for me in a child's power. Listen for me in a golden hour. Listen.
Good morning. I promise it's me. I just went and got my hair done this morning, so I look a little different than I did the last time you saw me. I just have a lot going on. I have like 4 whips, and normally I only ever have at most 2. And so now I've got 2 sock whips, and then I've got 2 sweater whips, and it's just a lot, and the blonde was just too much to handle with all of this creative stuff going on. So I went back to my natural brown hair. It's been a busy week. We have started knitting sweaters. I feel like I have so many ideas percolating and so many things going on, but I made a lot of progress in my goal towards creating a more colorful wardrobe with more texture and more handmade pieces. So here's where we're at on the first sweater. This is the Ivy sweater by Petite Knit. Made quite a bit of progress. Like, look at that on the body of the sweater. So next week, I imagine I will have quite a bit done in my quest to finish this so that I can do all the cool embroidery on the sleeves. So that's that sweater. I've got a swatch going for my second sweater, and this fabric turned out so beautiful. I love this. So I've started working on actually writing up the pattern and kind of deciding how I want to do things. And so the next step is just to cast on and start going and see what this will actually end up looking like. Next week is going to be wild because I've got a new sock design I'm going to be knitting. I'll have more progress on this sweater. My fabric came in for my pants that I'm going to attempt to sew, so I can show you that fabric. So come back next week because there's there's going to be a lot going on in that particular episode. But thank you for joining me this week as I started this new adventure with my wardrobe. I had a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to next week to showing you this new sock design. I started knitting the cuff in last week's video, so if you saw that and wondered where it was going, then next week I will be able to show you. So super excited to start sewing the pants. I think I'm a little nervous, but then I'm like, why? It's no big deal. I'm just learning a new thing. So yeah, next week should be a lot of fun, and I hope to see you then.